Nice to see you. I'm surprised and happy.
Thank you, Mother. Tomorrow, Gopal Hari Prabhu's son is getting Mundan. This program too. So we were supposed to tomorrow morning attend this program. We came today. So. Thank you.
Okay, good to see you.
You're doing well.
I'm doing fine. Busy, but fine. To prepare all this, it takes a lot. 14 classes, and then following this is 18 classes. It's busy. It's nice. Okay, Surabhi, how are we doing?
Yes, Guru Maharaj. We start
Recording in
now?
progress.
Are we ready to begin?
Yes, we are ready.
Okay, so you can ask your team if they have some questions, or just remind
Yes,
them
sir.
they can send something.
Yes，各位亲爱的奉献者们，现在进入到回答问题的部分。现在聊天室里已经有几个问题了，其他奉献者有什么问题的话，不管是今天的课程的内容，还是前面课程的内容，都可以提出问题来，请大家把问题发在聊天室里，谢谢大家。Yes, Guru Maharaj, they already have several questions in chat box.
Okay, let's go.
Yes. 第一个问题来自于田炳伦顶拜咕噜韦达经的描述和现在的天文学观察为什么有这么多不同呢？比如天文观察地球距离月亮的距离是38万公里，距太阳的距离是1.5亿公里，完全不同韦达的记录。The first question from 田炳伦Alpha male obeisance to Guru. Why there are a lot of differences between the Vedas description and modern astronomical observation. For example, according to modern astronomical observation, the distance between the Earth and the Moon is 380,000 kilometers, and the distance between the Earth and the Sun is 150 million,
She has a hard time
million
with numbers.
kilometers.
Big numbers.
So,
Forget it.
yeah. So why there's such a big gap between description of Vedic literature and modern science?
Two things.
2点回答这个问题。
I'm not sure you have the right number as far as
我不知道。
modern science is concerned, and I'm not sure you have clearly understood what the Vedic texts say. So I'm not sure you have the right set of information on either side.
我不确定你是否就是关于这个韦达经里面对这个天文的这种描述，有知道的。请哪位把麦关一下？我不知道您提出什么。您在提出这个问题的时候，对这个韦达经的描述是否有清晰的了解，或者是您提出的这个您对现在的天文学的观察提供的这个数据是否也是非常清晰的？对此我不太了解哈。
The other answer has to do with imperfect senses.
还有一个关于这个回答是，我们的感官是不完美的。
Modern science is always shifting its data because more refined and then different and different and different because senses are imperfect and their ability to evaluate the information that comes to their senses is also going to change over time. It's the nature of modern science or material science.
因为感官是不完美的，那么当代的这个科学家们，他们的就是或者是现代的天文学观察，它这个由于这个现代的科学家们，他们的这个数据提供的数据也总是在发生变化，随着他们的观察越来越细致，越来越精微，所以他们的提供的数据总是此一时彼一时都是不同的。这是因为我们人类的感官是不完美的，而这个物质的科学和这个物质的科学的这些提供的这种论据或者是数据，也都是来自于不完美的感官，因此呢，总是在发生变化。
I'll give a little example.
我给你举一个例子。
Even between one scientist and another scientist, the data is going to differ, and the way that they interpret the data is going to differ.
比如一个科学家和另一个科学家，他们两人提供的数据就会各不相同，而且他们去解释这个数据的方式，呈现的方式也有所不同。
In short, imperfect senses and a mind that interprets the data in a different way.
那简而概之，就是这全都是由于不完美的感官所致，所以心意对于这种各种数据的解答也各不相同。
It's not only in cosmology, but anything to do with empiric data. It's going to differ from modern to Vedic.
那不仅仅是关于这个宇宙论，各种方面的这个提供各个方面的相关的知识，现代的科学跟这个伟达经里面所描述的是不一样的。
Next.
Yes, next from Vaidehi Mataji. Daksha 的女儿有13个嫁给了 Kashyapa Muni， 有4个送给了他，这有什么区别吗？The second question from Vaidehi Mataji. Her question relates one description of one slide in this class. The description is like that. 10 of the daughters were given in marriage to Dharma Raj, 13 to Kashyapa Muni, and 27 to the moon god. In this way, 50 daughters were distributed, and of the other 10 daughters, 4 were given to Kashyapa, and 2 each to Bhuta, Angira, and Krishashva. So her question is that he said that 13 daughters of Daksha were given in marriage to Kashyapa Muni. And of the other 10 daughters, 4 were given to Kashyapa Muni.
I understand the question.
So what's the difference between?
It doesn't give an explanation, but it could be a chronological separation rather than a numerical separation.
那么这个并没有经典当中并没有关于这个问题，经典当中并没有提出具体的是怎么回事，但是呢，很有可能是在就是时间先后的顺序上，他们的婚姻是这样发生的。先娶了13个，然后后来娶了4个。
Unless there's an explanation given in scripture or by our acharyas, we can only guess, we don't know for sure, why it's 13 and again later it's add 4 more. Why didn't he just say 13 plus 4? Why did he just say 17? So one was left to guess, and we don't like to guess.
那么 么，除非是这些Acharya们对这一段有进一步的这种评述，基于这个基础上，否则的话，我们只能是进行猜测。为什么前面一开始说把13个女儿嫁给了Kashyapa Muni，然后又说到了有4个送给了Kashyapa Muni，这个我们只能是猜测。为什么没有说经典里没有说一共他有把17个女儿嫁给了Kashyapa Muni？没有，为什么没有这么说？但是我们最好还是不要有猜测，虽然这一点我们只能这么猜，也会这样去猜，但是呢，我们不推荐进行这样的猜测。
The language of the text makes it sound like after 50 daughters were given in marriage, a decision needed to be made about the remaining 10, and he made his decision.
而这个经典当中的这段描述呢，给人会这样想。那首先首先 Daksha 将这13个女儿嫁给了Kashyapa Muni，然后把这个不同的女儿嫁给了不同的圣人，接下来还剩下10个女儿。这个10个女儿怎么那个呢？然后后来 Daksha 就这样想，其中将这4个嫁给Kashyapa Muni，给人的想法会是这个样子。
Other questions?
Yes, Guru Maharaj. Yeah, let me check. The next question from Galaxy. 顶拜 Guru， 我们人的行为是在半神人的运作下才完成的吗？包括身体的消化、食物的消化，甚至思考。I offer my obeisance to Guru. And my question is that as a human being, we get our action fulfilled under the influence of the demigods or manipulation of demigod.
What's the option? The demigods or the what? What's the second option?
Manipulation or control.
Manipulation or control of the demigods. It just sounds like the two options are
For example, the digesting food in our body. For example, our thinking.
Do you understand the question? I don't understand the question.
For example, we digest food in our body under the influence of the demigods, or the ways we thinking also influenced by under the influence of the demigod.
I mean, one way to answer the question is yes.
一个就是回答你这个问题的一方面呢，回答是的。
All the affairs of the material creation are under the supervision of somebody.
所有这些事物的完成，就是活动的这些完成，都是在某人的监督下来进行的。
However, how you understand the influence of the demigods may be more like it really is or like it really isn't. So it depends on how you understand what the role is. Some influence, yes.
那对这个就是这个半神人的could you repeat this part? Yeah.
One may have a correct or incorrect understanding of what influence of demigods means.
那么可能一个人对这个半神人半神人的运作，或者是半神人的影响的理解，会是或者是正确的，或者是不太正确的。
Two examples were given, the activities of the mind and the activities of digestion.
你在这里举了2个例子，一个是身体当中的食物的消化，还有思考，心意的思考。
Supposing somebody gets angry.
假如一个人生气了，
And someone could throw their hands up in the air and say, well, what can I do? It's just the influence of the demigods.
那有的人可能就会把这个手往空中一伸，说啊，这只是因为半神人的运作之下，所以这个人生气了。
Or take the digestion topic.
或者是关于这个食物的消化。
Supposing somebody overeats and they said, oh, the demigods had me overeat.
假如一个人他吃的太多了，那可能那也有人说，哦，那是因为半神人吃多了。
So it's easy to say yes, but a qualified yes. There's influence, but there's free will, and there's all kinds of other variables going on that they're responsive to, but you're not just a pawn on the demigod chessboard.
那么这个就是那么情况是这样子的，有半神人的这个运作的影响，那么还有生物体的自由意志的选择，还有各种其他的因素的原因，不仅仅只是由于半神人的运作。
We have a role to play. In other words, it's not just subjective, controlled by demigods.
我们有这个游戏的规则，但是呢，不是特别主观的，只是在半神人的运作之下。
And ultimately, there's super soul because he's in control of the demigods. Not a blade of grass moves without the sanction of super soul. Not a blade of grass moves without a sanction of some demigod.
而且终极而言，还有超灵，一切都在超灵的掌控之下。就连一棵草，如果没有超灵的这个允许，一棵草都动不了。如果没有超灵的允许，这半神人他们什么也做不了。
Anything else?
Yes, Gurmaj. More. The next request. 下一个问题来自 Gata de Moha。那顶拜 Guru 翻译，顶拜您和所有奉献者。Daksha 一共有几世啊？Aditi 和 Diti 是60个女儿当中的2位吗？然 often obeisance to Guru Maharaj and order devotees. So in the narration is mentioned in the verses it's mentioned that there are Daksha part 1, Daksha part 2. So I would like to know how many Daksha they have.
That's just mind language. Daksha part 1, Daksha part 2.
我用这个 Daksha 1世 Daksha 2世，这是我自己的语言的表达。
But a short answer is the soul is eternal, so that the how many parts are unlimited.
那么但是这个灵魂它是永恒存在的，这个到底有几世，那是无计其数的。
The soul continues to move on from one life to the next life until pure consciousness is restored. And Daksha didn't get that in his previous life.
而这个灵魂呢，它会一次又一次的从这个身体投生到下一个身体，它会一次又一次的这个轮回投生，那一直到它完全的恢复灵性的知觉，回归守神。而 Daksha 呢，他这一世没有达到这样的完美的境界，他上一世没有达到这种完美的境界。
And in successive lifetimes, it's not that we'll always have the same name, but Daksha had the same name in 2 successive lifetimes. So it's pretty unique.
而 Daksha 呢，在他的这2世当中呢，他用了同一个名字 Daksha，这是非常独特的一点。而我们在就是灵魂在这个不断的轮回，从这一世投生到下一世的时候，都会有不同的名字。但是 Daksha 他在不同的2世当中用了相同的名字。Yeah, and the second question that Daksha had 60 daughters. So those 60 daughters include Aditi and Diti?
Yes.
是的，Aditi 和 Diti 是这60个女儿当中的2位。
那你刚才那走账的钱是从你那里出的？
啊？请这位马太基把麦关上好吗？我们都听到了你们的谈话，谢谢。And next question from Harkanta Mataji， 顶拜 Guru Maharaj， 谢谢翻译。Daksha 的60个女儿繁衍了所有的生物体种类，他们是增加了数量，还是创造了各种不同生物种类的形体？ I offer my obeisance to Guru Maharaj. Daksha, the 60 daughters of Daksha, they produced all kind of species of the living entities. So I would like to know, they just increase the numbers, or they create or produce all kind or they produce all kind of forms of different species.
Both.
他们既增加了数量，也创造了繁衍了各种，创造了各种不同生物种类的形体。That's it. And the next question from Pran Kishori of 顶拜 Guru 的莲花族，感恩精彩的讲解。请问受限制的灵魂去世之后，要根据其业报先去阎罗王管辖的2个地方之一，之后再投生是吗？奉爱瑜伽修行者未达到完美之前，也要去 Pitaloka 之后再投生吗？谢谢。This question from Pran Kishori Mataji. I offer my obeisance to Guru's lotus feet. Thank you for your wonderful explanation. And my question is that after the conditioned soul leave body, so do they first go to Yamaraj's place according to their karma? Do they first go to the one of the 2 places that Yamaraj reside, and then take a birth again according to their karma?
That's not the procedure as I understand it.
据我的了解，这并不是按照这个程序。
There's one class of people that make their first stop at the hellish planets, and those are the people that are sinful and have done no atonement for their sins. They go straight to Yamaloka.
那么有一类人，他们从事了罪恶的活动，但是呢，没有做任何的赎罪苦行，而这一类人，他们就直接去到了Yamaluka， 就是 Yamaraj 所居住的星球。
Others may go straight to the heavenly planets. Others may take birth again on Earth. Others may go to one of the subterranean heavenly planets. But those that are sinful go straight down. Those are sinful with no following of the Vedas, no following of Scripture, no atonement. They go say Haribol to Yamaraj.
那些从事罪恶的活动的人，他们这些从事罪恶活动的人，既没有进行赎罪忏悔，然后没有做任何的这种赎罪苦行，他们完全是从事着这种罪恶的生活。像这样的罪恶之人，他们直接就去到 Yamaraj 的居所，向 Yamaraj 说 Haribol。而其他的人呢，他们有的可能直接就去了天堂，有的人可能就投生到了地球，有的人可能他们投生到了低等星系当中的天堂般的星球上。
There's 4 planetary systems above heaven, and they may go straight there also.
那么在天堂之上还有四层这个高等的星宿啊，也许有一些受条件限制的灵魂，他们死后就直接去了这些高等的星系，就是高于天堂的那4层高等星系星宿上。
Next.
And her next question that if the sadhaka devotees they do not attain the perfect position, so and then after their death, they do they first to go to Pitaloka and then take a birth again?
No.
不是这样，那个奉爱修习者未达成完美之前，也要先去 Pitaloka， 然后再投生吗？回答是不是这样的？
The answer to that question is found in Bhagavad Gita. There are 3 destinations.
关于这个问题的回答，在《博斋梵歌》里面就能够找到。有他们对于这样的修行，就是奉爱瑜伽修行者未达到完美的这样的人，他们有3个他们会有3种去向。
They may go to a heavenly planet, enjoy for a long time, come back again, and continue their bhakti.
他们可能在死后会投生到进入天堂，在那里享受这个很多的这种享乐之后，再回到地球上，再投生到地球上，
Or
然後繼續他們的奉愛的修行。
they could take birth directly on the earthly plane in a family of a wealthy family or a Brahmin family and continue their, elevation.
或者他们有些人会直接的死后投生到这个地球上富有的家庭，或者是婆罗门的家庭当中，继续他们这种的提升的，能够让他们得以提升的修行，继续能够让他们得以提升的修行。
The third option is they can be born in a family and go to Gurukul.
那个第3个去向就是他们可能会投生在这个奉献者的家庭，去 Gurukul，
Or get spiritual training from childhood.
或者是他们从小就会得到这种灵性的培训、灵性的训练，
That's the most fortunate.
而这是最幸运的一种情况。
Next.
Yeah, the next question from Das. Daksha 一是冒犯了主希瓦，2是诅咒了 Narada Muni， 收获是这个世界充满了嫉妒，即使天堂也不例外。那么修习 Krishna 知觉该如何应对嫉妒呢？ ISKCON 的团队总有新人加入，带来嫉妒的倾向和习惯，如何把嫉妒挡在社团之外，是个难题吗？ So this question from Das on the Daksha Part 1 offended Lord Shiva, and Daksha Part 2 cursed Narada Muni. So I learned from these 2 narrations is that this material world is full of envy, even in the heavenly planets. So in our Krishna consciousness practice, how can we deal with such envy?
Read the label and it says poison and stay away from it.
Read the label. Oh,
The label of the jar, if it says
Yes.
poison, you stay away from it.
你要好好的看这种各种就是像药瓶上的标签，如果标签上说这是毒药，那你可要离得远远的。
We understand it's very, very detrimental to spiritual life, and we keep a distance.
因为像我们要了解到，像嫉妒这样的坏的品质是非常有损害性的。
Now, if you're,
非常对我们的灵修是有损害性的，因此我们要 要远离嫉妒。
But let's consider the different response of Lord Shiva and Narada. What did Narada do? He went back right to Daksha and said, Haribol, your sons have joined my Bhakti program. What do you think of that? He knew what he would think, but he wanted to deliver him. He was very powerful and very compassionate. So that's an option depending how powerful you are.
那我们再来看一看，从这些描述当中来看一看，当 Shiva 和 Narada Muni 遇到这种情况的时候，他们的反应或者是他们的回应是什么？比如 Narada Muni， 他就是把Daksha 的这些儿子们转变成了奉献者，他在把 Daksha 的第一批10000个儿子转变成奉献者之后，他又把他的第二批1000个儿子又转变成了奉献者，然后他又回到了 Daksha 那里去把这些都告诉了 Daksha。其实 Narada Muni 他明知道 Daksha 会有什么样的反应，但是他仍然去了，因为 Narada Muni 他的内心充满了怜悯之情，而且他希望能够去就是能够去拯救 Daksha， 让他把他转变成 Bhakta 奉献者。所以这就是 Narada Muni 的奉献者把人转变成奉献者的计划。即便是在那种情况下，Narada Muni 内心仍然充满着怜悯之情，非常仁慈的对待 Daksha。
We also heard what was Shiva's response.
我们也聆听到了 Shiva 在那种情况下他所做出的回应。
When his father, Lord Brahma, came to see him, he made a request. Bring Daksha back to life, and these other people that were killed, bring them back to life, and, exhibit your merciful side, please.
那么在Shiva 被冒犯之后，后来他的父亲 Brahma 去到主 Shiva 的居所，请求主 Shiva 去让这个 Daksha 起死回生，也让在这个祭祀场上被杀死的所有的 Daksha 的那些同党们，也让他们起死回生，来展现他的怜悯和他的这种仁慈之心。
Shiva's response to that request was very interesting.
Shiva 对 Brahma 的这番请求的回应是非常有意思的。
He said, actually, I'm not at all disturbed by all the insults that they hurled at me. I have no problem.
Shiva 是这样说到的，实际上我对他们对我进行的轮番的这种咒骂或者是冒犯，我一点都不受打扰。
They're simply ignorant, and they're doing what ignorant people do. They're doing ignorant things, so I have no problem.
因为他们是愚昧无知的，所以他们做了愚昧无知的人所做的愚昧无知的事儿，所以对于这一点，我不会受到任何的打扰，我是没问题。
But they were punished out of compassion to correct them because they needed to be corrected. These poor fellows.
但是他们之所以受到这样的惩戒呢，是由于我想纠正他们，出于对他们的怜悯，对他们的这种怜悯之情，我想纠正他们，通过这种惩戒来纠正他们错误的行为。
Now, it's not in all circumstances Lord Shiva is going to say the same thing, and in all circumstances Narada is going to say what he said. But it gives some picture of there's different options in responding to envious people.
当然了，主 Shiva 还有 Narada Muni， 他们不是说在任何情况下都会给出千篇一律的这种回答，在不同的情况下，他们的回答也是不一样的。但是我们从他们两个人的身上，这两个例子当中，可以可以看到这样的一个画面，他们有各种各样的选择去应对这样的嫉妒之心。
They're both on a level of being powerful that is far, far beyond us. So for us, it's a good idea just to keep a safe distance from people who are envious and pray for them and wish them well.
那么 Narada Muni 和主 Shiva 他们的力量他们的力量是非常强大的，远远的超出了我们，而我们是没有这种强大的力量的而对于我们来说，如果遇到这种心怀嫉妒的人，那我们就对他们敬而远之，并且为他们祈祷，这是我们能够做的。
Next.
And then his next or her next question that in our ISKCON there are always new people come, and also those new people bring the tendency of envy and the habits of envy. So how can we keep this envy out of our ISKCON society?
Oh,
And this is a difficulty problem.
well, one solution is don't let new people in. One solution is don't let new people join us. Keep them out.
OK， 那一种选择就是，那就别让这种带有嫉妒倾向、嫉妒习惯的，有嫉妒之心的这种新人加入我们的行列之中。
But that's not a good option.
但是呢，这不是个什么好选择。
So we have to be accepting and tolerant and patient and train and guide at least the people that are willing to be trained and guided.
那至少如果这些人他们愿意获得这种培训或者是训练的话，那我们就应该去接受他们，我们就应该去容忍他们，并且相应的去训练他们。
And we need qualified people who really care, but also have a sense of how to exercise authority, show some lines in the sand, and help people understand, please don't cross this line in the sand. See that line? And please don't cross that line in the sand. And some discipline may be required at times.
那么当然了，这么做呢，我们需要有这样资格的人，我们也需要有这种关爱之心，就是这种很关爱之心的奉献者，有资格的奉献者，去这样去培训他们、训练他们。但与此同时呢，我们也需要有这种权威来画一个基本的界限不要超过这个基本的界限。这是我们需要有这种最基本的一个原则的界限。
Next.
Yes, next question from Dina Tarini Mataji. Hare Krishna, 顶拜 Maharaj 的莲花族，听了 Daksha 的祈祷文之后，至尊主在博伽瓦坛第6篇第4章43世节里赞美了生物体祖先 Daksha 已经达到生命的最完美的境界。为什么 Daksha 还有傲慢之心，不理解 Narada Muni 做出冒犯 Narada Muni 的行为呢？ Hare Krishna, I offer my obeisances to the lotus feet of Maharaj, and after listening to the prayers offered by Daksha to the Supreme Lord, especially in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 4, verse 43. In this verse, the Supreme Lord praised Prajapati Daksha already attained the perfection of life. So why did Daksha continue have such a pride in the heart and didn't understand Narada Muni? And later on, he offended Narada Muni.
It's a good question.
这是一个很好的问题。
It's not Yogamaya potency, that's for sure. There was pride in his heart, and he was very insulting to a great Vaishnav. And that's not perfection.
但是很显然，这个 Daksha 他心中有这种傲慢之心，他不理解 Narada Muni， 并且冒犯了 Narada Muni， 这可不是 Bhakti 能量在起作用，这是他心中的不洁。
Again, we don't hear what happened afterwards. There could be any number of things that happened afterwards, like a little light went on to say, gosh, I really shouldn't have said all those things. We don't know what happened afterwards.
但是，在那之后，就是之后到底发生了什么事情，我们都不清楚。那这个至尊主在这里说，赞美了 Daksha 的一番话，之后，那之后发生了什么事情，我们也不太清楚。
Another explanation could be there are different degrees or meanings of the word perfection.
还有另一种解释，就是对这个完美有着完美的意思的解释有各不相同。
For example, we know from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9, text 30, there's a standard of perfection where at the heart level, one is an unalloyed devotee. And at the sense level, one may slip.
Kumaj?
At the sense level, one may slip, make mistake.
那么比如在《薄伽梵歌》第9章第30世节当中，就讲到了内心的完美的境界，就是这个纯粹奉爱服务 Ananda Bhakti， 而这个可能他在感官上也许会犯错。
So exactly what Vishnu meant when he said you've achieved perfection may be subject to interpretation or acharyas explaining. And I'd like to look up the answer to that question to get to what our acharyas have to say about that. I'll look and I'll report back to you if I find something.
Yes, Gurmaj. 那关于您的这个提问的具体的回答，我会在课后去查阅一下这些 acharya 们对这一段描述的这个评述和解释，然后再把这个相关的这个内容发给你。Yes, Gurmaj. Next. Yeah. 下一个问题 ，Anna 顶拜 Guru， 请问所有的恶魔都是低体生的吗？恶魔和半圣人都来自一个父亲，那这位父亲是什么样的心理呢 ？So I offer my obeisance to Guru. My question is that may I ask you that all the demons were born from deity?
Not necessarily.
不一定所有的恶魔都不一定都是低体所生。So the next question that the demons and the demigods were produced from the same father. So what kind of psychological mood did this father have?
Which father are you referring to?
The father in the scripture it said that all the demons and the demigods produced from the same father. 那你所指的这个父亲是指的是哪个父亲？
I don't know what the reference is, so I can't respond.
因为我不知道这相关的一些参考资料，所以我不能够确切的去回答你提出来的这个问题。The next question.
Let's take an example of Advaita Acharya.
我们现在举例来说吧，比如 Advaita Acharya.
Krishnadas Kaviraj describes that some of the sons of Advaita Acharya were exalted devotees and some others were useless, so we won't talk about them.
Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami 他描述说， Adwaita Acharya 他的儿子当中有一些是非常崇高的纯粹奉献者，而其中的几个儿子是毫无用处的，所以，我们 yeah。
The word that's used is asara, which means useless.
那 Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami 描述他的那几个其中的几个儿子用了 the words are
Asara, useless.
Ashara 用了这个词描述他的其中的几个儿子，是这个词的意思是毫无用处的。
Same father.
他们他们都是同一个父亲所生。
And it happens in everyday life too. One son is great, another son is not great or bad.
但是这样的事情就发生在了Adwaita Acharya 的儿子们身上，其中的一些儿子呢是伟大的奉献者，而另一些儿子却不是这样，他们是坏孩子。
My compliments to all of you for coming up with so many questions. Fantastic.
我现在来评述一下你们这些听众哈，你们太好了，太棒了，提出了这么多的问题，这么精彩的问题。
And I see more and more questions showing up in the chat box.
我现在看见这个一个一个的问题都写在了这个聊天室，也发到聊天室里了。
I thought I'd have to call on some of the people in the room here, but you guys taking everything away.
我想可能就没机会我们这边房间里的这些奉献者提问题了。
Keep going.
Yes, Guru Maharaj. The next question from Raja Mataji. 请问 Guru Maharaj, Daksha 为他诅咒冒犯 Narada Muni 承受了什么样的后果呢？ Narada Muni 在带走这些儿子之前，为什么不去先说服 Daksha 呢？ May I ask you, Guru Maharaj, after Daksha cursed Narada Muni, what kind of result Daksha should bear?
It doesn't say, but generally speaking, when offends a Vaishnava, it's pretty serious business.
在经典里并没有提到 Daksha 为诅咒冒犯 Narada Muni 承受了什么样的后果，但是通常情况下，如果一个人冒犯了奉献者，做了 Vaishnava Aparada 的话，这个结果是非常严重的，这是一件严重的事儿。
It doesn't say, but it's certainly possible that he could have had some awakening to understand, whoa, I shouldn't have spoken that way, and oh, Narada, please forgive me, and maybe he did that. Not likely, but we don't know what happened after.
在 Daksha 诅咒了 Narada Muni 之后，我们也不能不确切的知道到底发生了什么事儿，有可能 Daksha 他后来醒悟了，我不应该对Narada Muni 做这样不好的事儿，咒他，有可能会这个样子，但是呢，具体到底发生什么事儿不清楚。And so she continued to ask that before Narada Muni brought his sons to his ashram, why did Narada Muni not persuade or convince Daksha?
Some people are stubborn.
有些人是非常倔强的。
And you don't try to convince people that are determined to be not convinced.
而这个他呢，Narada Muni 并不想是不想就是非常强硬的，在一个人他在不听说服的情况下去说服对方，他不会这样去死了白咧的去说服他。
Next.
Yes. The next question is from Dinatarini Mataji. Dinatarini Mataji. 在 圣典博加瓦坛第6篇第5章36到42世节，从 Daksha 愤怒的向 Narada Muni 说的话和圣帕帕德的要旨里，可以了解人要到达气觉有2种途径，一种是循序渐进的，逐渐的进化，获得知识，再进入气觉；一条是得到与灵性导师的联谊，获得完美的知识，可以立刻进入气觉。这个理解是否正确呢？The Antariri Mataji would like to clarify if her understanding is correct or not. In Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 5, verse 36 to 42, in this part, Daksha very angrily says some words to Narada Muni. And we also, from those words, and also we from the Srila Prabhupada's purport, we can understand that there are two ways. There are two ways through which one can attain the position of renunciation. One way is progressive. For example, to gradually be purified and then get the knowledge, then to get onto the level of renunciation. And the other way is that one directly associate with the spiritual master and get the knowledge from the spiritual master. In this way, one can directly into the level of renunciation. So my understanding is correct?
I'd have to it sounds good. You're
听上去
You're repeating what you've understood from the purport. I'd like to read the purport to verify, but it sounds like you've repeated what's in the purport.
听上去你说的这个很好。那么看上去你是引述了要旨里面的话，然后我也会详细的再去阅读这个要旨。
Next.
Yes. The next question from Ratnamala. Hare Krishna, 顶拜 Guru Maharaj, 顶拜翻译，顶拜您和所有奉献者。Daksha 二世是这10个 Pracheta 之一。Daksha 的二世是这10个 Pracheta 之一，他二世还叫 Daksha， 然后冥想10000年后娶了Ashikni， 然后生了10000个儿子，接着 Narada 出现带走了他的1000个儿子们，接着他诅咒了 Narada 在这一世，是这样的顺序吗？听得有点晕。这10个 Pracheta 是谁的儿子呢？This question from Ratnamala Mataji. I offer my obeisances to Guru Maharaj and all the devotees. Actually, she would like to clarify what he heard from this class because after class he felt confused about the several points. For example, Daksha Part 2 is one of the members of Prachetas.
No.
这个 Daksha 二世不是 Pracheta 之一。
Daksha is their son.
Daksha 是 Pracheta 这10个 Pracheta 的儿子。And then, also when Daksha part 1 take a birth again, he also named Daksha. So and then after 10,000 in meditation, he married with Ashikni and then produced 10,000 sons. And then Narada Muni brought his 1,000 sons to his ashram. Then Daksha Part 2 cursed Narada Muni in, yeah. So the sequence is like this.
Doesn't sound right.
Doesn't sound right.
The sequence does not sound right.
你说的这个顺序吧，有点不太对。
In the fourth canto, we find Daksha as one of the sons of Brahma.
在第4篇里面，我们了解到 Daksha 是 Brahma 的一个儿子，
And he died.
然后他死了，
He took rebirth as the son of the Prachetas.
然后这个 Daksha 又再一次投生，他再一次投生的时候是投生为10位 Pracheta 的儿子。
Now, in your narration of chronology, you mentioned some 10,000 years. I don't recall the 10,000 years.
那么在你的这个描述的顺序当中提到了冥想了10000年，我不记得是否冥想了10000年。
His father, the Prachetas, were in meditation for 10,000 years.
是 Daksha 的父亲，就是 Daksha 2世的父亲10位 Pracheta 们，他们冥想了10000年。
But then Daksha had a marriage.
然后 Daksha 2世结婚了，
And Daksha produced sons and daughters.
然后 Daksha 生儿育女，
That's the sequence.
这是顺序。那个 Daksha，
We have 3 minutes remaining.
我们还有10分钟结束。And she also asked that this 10 Pracheta whose son they are. They were.
Prachetas were the son of the king, Prachinibari.
10位 Pracheta 是 Prachinibari 的儿子。Prachinibari 是一个国王。
You'll find that in the fourth canto.
你会在第4篇里读到这相关的内容。And the next question from 田炳伦，顶拜咕噜，感谢翻译。我们在所有宇宙从产生、创造、维系、毁灭的过程当中，是否也在体积、空间上从小到大从小到大到小的过程呢？Okay. And the next question from 田炳伦。
The last question.
Alpha male obeisance to Guru. So, about the cosmic creation, maintenance, and destruction. So, in this course of the creation, maintenance, and destruction, is also include. I need to check the 体积空间。Sorry. It's also for example, it's also from the order from the small to big in the conception of volume and space. The creation and maintenance and destruction going on from small to big and then big to small in the conception of volume and space, also like that.
Whoever's asking this question is quite a philosopher.
无论是谁问的这个问题吧，问的这个问题相当有哲学性。
The creator of the universe is Mahavishnu.
这个宇宙的创造者是 Mahavishnu，
And the universes that come from his body are very small.
而流烟自他身体的所有的 各种宇宙是非常渺小的。
But they expand and expand and expand, and then they contract and contract. So if that's what she's asking, then the answer is yes. But not all things are exactly like that.
然后呢，这个and then all the universes become big like that. I mean, sorry, could you repeat?
When Mahavishnu expands the universes, they're small, they enlarge,
Yeah.
and then they contract.
Yeah. 那么，当Mahavishnu 进行创造的时候，所有的宇宙流烟自他的这个身体从他的毛孔当中流烟出来。那这些所有的宇宙是非常渺小的，但是呢，后来当所有的这些宇宙从他的身体当中流烟出来后，又逐渐变大，然后在毁灭的时候又缩小。
But I'm not sure if the person
但是呢，所有的事情并不是像你这样说的，从小到大，从大到小，并非所有的事情都是如此。
I'm not sure if the person asking the question is just referring to the expansion of the universes or to something else, but I'm looking at my watch. And guess what? Time's up.
那么我不能够确保问这个问题的奉献者，他是不是说只是关于这个宇宙的创造，相关的这个提议，创造、毁灭、维系创造、维系、毁灭这个过程是像你就是提出来这样的问题，也在体积和空间上从小到大到小的过程，还是说也涉及到其他的一些范畴？但是现在我看了看表，哎呦，超时了，现在已经过9点了。
I'm going to sign off. Haribol.
我现在今天就到这里，这节课就到这里结束了。